everybody, it's Amy Caroline. Welcome back to a brand new video and welcome back to my channel. So, so I'm gonna read some ghost train stories and I'm gonna show you an example from haunted hotels and I I'm gonna show you an example from haunted hotels, and and um um I'm gonna show you an example from haunted hotels, and I want and and let me know if Ghost Train ought to be on the Travel Channel, just like Haunted Hotels was. Okay, and also let me know if Ghost Train let me know if Ghost Train should have episodes and seasons on the Travel Channel also. Okay, let me know that. Okay, so anyway um I I'm gonna go I'm gonna go ahead and read this story. That This ghost train story is called The Headless Ghost at Free Springs Bridge. The Headless Ghost at Free Springs Bridge. And I'm gonna read this and then read another story and then read another story also. Anyway, let me know if Ghost Train ought to be on the Travel Channel one day, and put it on there. Okay, I don't work for the Travel Channel company. I don't work for the Travel Channel company. So it's going to be up to you guys. And it's going to be up to the Travel Channel company to put it on there. Okay, it's going to be up to them. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and read these stories for you guys and show you an example of haunted hotels and of what Ghost Train ought to look like if it were put on the Travel Channel. Okay, all right, so here we go. The Headless Ghost at Free Springs Bridge. Just southeast of Sullivan, Indiana, is a place called Free Springs. A railroad passes through parallel to a small town stream. A gravel road crosses the railroad tracks, and then over the stream, and then over the stream on a bridge, a bridge of which focus on the railroad nearby. According to local legend, a headless body was found under the Free Springs Bridge many years ago. No one could identify the body, and most folks assumed the dead man was a tramp who had been murdered and dumped from a passing freight train. The head was never found, and the body the body was buried without it. Ever since the body was found, strange noises and sightings of headless ghosts have been reported at the bridge. The bridge is a favorite haunt of local teenagers who go there at night to try to find and spot the ghost. A related story, a related legend story is that of the ghost with the lantern that haunts the bridge. According to this story, a train man fell off a caboose and was beheaded by the wheels of his train. Today, if you go to the Free Springs Bridge and park on it, you can look down the railroad track and see the headless ghost. He walks the tracks at night waving a lantern looking for his head. So anyway, now the headless ghost, now the headless train man at Fairmont, just before World War One, the Baltimore and Ohio had a unique way of signaling engineers when to slow for the station at Fairmont West. West Virginia, a chain hung over the track. It would hit the train, and the noise would tell the engineer it was time to slow down. One evening, just at dusk, a train man was riding a train man was riding the car tops. He wasn't looking ahead and didn't notice the chain. It hit him over the shoulders, wrapped around his neck, and snapped his head off. The unfortunate man's body and head then fell to the ground. No one saw the accident. The train kept going, and the man's remains were not found until later on. After that, the railroad removed the chain, but they didn't. But they couldn't and didn't remove the ghost of the train man. People walking the track at dusk at night would see a lantern ahead at about the spot where the chain had hung, and as they got closer to the lantern, they could see it was held by a headless man. If they kept walking towards the ghost, it would cross the track and disappear. Folks in Fairmont believe the phantom is the ghost of the decapitated train man looking for his head. Now I'm going to read one more story, and then after that, I'm going to show you guys an example of what Ghost Train ought to look like if it should be on the Travel Channel, and what it ought to look like if it were put on the Travel Channel too, okay? Anyway, this story right here is called The Phantom Station Master. The Phantom Station Master. So here we go, folks. Closely related to the Mako Light story is the Eastern North Carolina legend of the Phantom Station Master. According to this legend, an old station master was working at a small depot just outside of Wilmington, North Carolina. One stormy night, he got an order to stop an oncoming train. The old man put on his raincoat and hat, lighted his red lantern, and stepped out on the platform. The weather was terrible, with rain coming down in torrents. The wind was so strong that it nearly knocked the station master down. From even a few feet away, all you could see was the dual red glow of the old man's lantern. Hearing the train approach, Hearing the train whistle its approach, the old man stepped on the tracks and held up his red lantern. The train's headlight appeared in the storm, but the engine's exhaust exhausts didn't slacken. The station master, amazed that the engineer wasn't slowing for his signal, began to wave his lantern frantically across the tracks. The standard rails, the standard rails, railroad danger signal or washout. The engineer, peering in the storm, never saw the old man. The old station master stuck to his post. The train ran him down, passed over his body, and continued on. Although the accident happened in the early 1900s, locals say that a dual red glow still appears at the old railroad station site on nights when there's a full moon. If you go if you stand right by the tracks, you can't see the light. You have to get at least 20 feet or it won't appear. So anyway, I think this should be on the Travel Channel. I think this I think this episode and this story and this episode and this story right here too, and this story right here too. I think this should be on the Travel Channel as a season episode. Now I'm going to show you an example. Here's haunted hotels. Now I'm going to show you an example of what Ghost Train ought to look like if it were a documentary on the Travel Channel. Okay, so here we go. And then I'm going to read one more story after that, and then I'll be finished. Okay, so here's haunted hotels, and here we go, folks.
For a hard day's travel, a charming inn can be just the place for a good night's rest. But there are some hotels that offer much more than meets the eye. In California's gold rush country, the ghost of a murdering gambler plays on at an historic hotel.
Your arms go cold and goosebumpy and your hair stand up.
In the American South, an horrific night in a cemetery keeps a young spirit from ever resting in peace.
You lose your breath and try to scream, but nothing comes out.
And in an English coaching inn, not even death can keep a murderous spectre at bay.
He had got his revenge back. And the dead can do things like that.
Travel into a world of phantoms, where the past reaches into the present, and lost souls roam free. Sometimes the most elegant hotels are also the most troubled. Filled with lonely spectres searching for peace, haunted by history. Rice Hope Plantation Inn rests on America's southeast coast, just an hour's drive from the city of Charleston, South Carolina. This 18th century Federalist mansion by the Cooper River welcomes guests and, some say, ghosts.
It's the ghost, it's the girl. Don't you see that? And her whole face went white and she was staring.
The sense of history here goes far beyond the inn.
You come up to these gates and you look through them, and there are these huge 400-year-old live oak trees that are full of Spanish moss, and this incredible eerie feeling comes over you.
As innkeeper Lou Edens explains, part of that feeling may also come from the story of a young girl named Catherine.
Catherine's grandparents lived on this side of Rice Oak Plantation.
After her sea captain father was lost in a shipwreck, Catherine and her mother moved back to the old family home, Rice Oak Plantation.
She led an idyllic life here. She was the center of attention, and at that time Rice Oak was over 1,700 acres.
Catherine loved the outdoors. There were trees to climb, swings to ride, and the Cooper River was full of surprises.
Catherine looked to nature for a lot of entertainment and by capturing little creatures.
Catherine caught a turtle and kept it as a pet. She could have no idea that she and her new friend would soon leave Rice Hope. Her mother was to marry a man in a distant town, and he had no interest in raising another man's child. Catherine was sent to board at the nearby school under the supervision of the schoolmaster, Mr. Dutarque, a former plantation overseer whose mere presence terrified young children. Catherine quickly became homesick, and she was unable to pay attention in school. The callous schoolmaster had no patience with Catherine's daydreaming, and punished her by forcing her to stay inside and sew. Spending the day confined indoors was a fate worse than death for Catherine. She looked to a familiar friend for comfort.
Catherine was supposed to be sewing, but instead she decided she would go outside and play with her little pet turtle.
She tried to slip away unnoticed, but she had left a clue behind.
She dropped the fabric that she's supposed to be sewing.
Mr. Dutarque realized Catherine was gone and set out after her. He found the lost fabric and followed Catherine's trail to the river's edge. The startled girl tried to explain.
You want to be punished now, come!
She told him that she only wanted to be outside, and he went into something of a rage, shouting, "If outside is what you want, outside is what you shall have." He took her into the cemetery and lashed her onto a tombstone.
The punishment that awaited Catherine was far worse than a day without fresh air. Long ago, a young girl named Catherine reveled in her life at Rice Hope Plantation. But that joy swiftly ended after she was sent to boarding school. There, she looked for solace in the natural world, but found instead her schoolmaster, Mr. Dutarque, determined to teach her a lesson. In a fury, he lashed her to a tombstone in the graveyard.
You want to be outside? Now you'll be outside!
The schoolmaster left, and Catherine was alone in the cemetery. Soon, night began to fall.
She knew about the creatures of the night, the bobcats. There were even bears in the Carolinas then.
What came next would make her nightmare complete. From the darkened woods, a glowing, angry face began to make its way toward her. Catherine fainted. But then, a human figure stepped from the darkness. It was not a spectre, but a slave carrying a jack-o'-lantern to light his way and to frighten off those who might report him for being out at night. As the man came across Catherine's limp body, he was shocked by what he saw. He ran for help, and Catherine was saved, but she would never find happiness again. The night in the graveyard changed her forever, and the carefree child grew into a suspicious, reclusive adult. Catherine finally died of old age, but some at the inn say she has come home again.
When I'm walking, especially upstairs down that long hall, I feel like there's somebody behind me. It's like I'm not alone.
And guests who stayed in Catherine's old room report they sometimes receive an unexpected visitor.
They had a small carry-on suitcase sitting on a stool and a few books on the same stand as the TV. Right at midnight, the books were literally thrown off of the TV stand, and the suitcase that was sitting on the stool was dumped upside down on the floor.
Perhaps Catherine's apparition was not happy about sharing the room, or was she trying to send another message? No one can be certain, but she appears to have strong ideas about how her old home should be kept.
Guests kept talking about the door being open. And I would realize, I had closed the door. I'd even locked the door, and they'd say the door was open. So I put a door closer on it. One day I looked, and the door closer screws had been pulled out of the door facing.
Staff members believe Catherine's wishes that day came across loud and clear.
It's a message to me not to close that door. She wants to go outside at her will.
Though it would seem Catherine's spirit travels in a world without barriers, perhaps a locked door is a troubling reminder of the night she was held against her will.
Okay, so I'm gonna I'm gonna stop there because I gotta charge up my phone. Did you guys did you guys see of how the story went back in time and did you guys see of how the story on haunted hotels went back in time when Catherine was when Catherine was alive and then did you see of how her apparition appeared as a ghost? Well, guess what? That's what I want Ghost Train to do. If it becomes a documentary on the Travel Channel. That is what I want Ghost Train to do. That's what I want Ghost Train to do. And that's what I want this episode to be. And that's what I want this episode to do. The Headless Ghost at Free Springs Bridge and the Headless Train Man of Fairmont and the Phantom Station Master and the Phantom Station Master. Okay. So I would really like it, those of you who work for the Travel Channel, to put Ghost Train on the Travel Channel and put this episode on there, put the Phantom Station Master on there like you saw with Haunted Hotels. I would really like it if you put the Phantom Station Master and and the headless ghost at Free Springs Bridge, and the headless trainman of Fairmont, on there too, okay? Okay? But except it instead of it being called haunted hotels, instead of it being called haunted hotels, it could be called Ghost Train. It could be called Ghost Train, okay? So put Ghost Train on the Travel Channel. Those of you who those of you who work for the Travel Channel, if you live in Los Angeles, if you live in California, if you live in Las Vegas, and if you live in New York City, and you work for the Travel Channel, and if you live in London, if you live in England, if you live in London and you work for the Travel Channel, if you live in any of those places, then put Ghost Train on the Travel Channel, okay? Please put Ghost Train on the Travel Channel. Please put Ghost Train on the Travel Channel, and let it be a documentary just like Haunted Hotels was, okay? And also let the story go back in time. Let the people and the story go back in time, and let them return as spirits in the show also, okay? Okay? That's what I'm talking about. Okay? So yeah, do that whenever you can, okay? Those of you who work for the Travel Channel, please put Ghost Train on the Travel Channel. So yeah, okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and watch finish watching Haunted Hotels, and I'll be back later on for some more Ghost Train stories, and to let you guys know if Ghost Train ought to be on the Travel Channel. I will read some more, and I'll be back in a few minutes to do that, okay? So give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and ring the bell, and enjoy this video, and I will see you guys later on for my next vlog and my next YouTube video, okay? Okay, bye everybody, bye.